I'm team let the birth rate plummet to hell. Many of the same things that I talk about going on here in the United States are happening globally. So this article is coming out of Canada. I've been sent this article a few times, so let's go ahead and get to it. It says Canada's fertility rate has reached a new low. Canada's total fertility rate fell again last year, reaching a record low of 1.25 children per woman following years of decline. Listen, ladies from the States, let's follow what Canada is doing. Let's follow their lead. All right, it says, published Wednesday, new data from Statistics Canada showed the birth rate slipping 1.6% from 2023, the first year that fertility rates fell below 1.3 children per woman. Countries below that threshold, now including Canada alongside Switzerland, Luxembourg, Finland, Italy, Japan, Singapore, and South Korea, are considered to have ultra low fertility, the agency notes. America, we're sitting at 1.59. Let's get with it. Let's at least get to Switzerland level. It says decades of decline. Canada's fertility rate has fallen for decades from a peak of nearly 4 children per woman in the late 50s. A 2024 report from the Statistics Canada notes that some of the steepest drops in fertility came during the baby bust roughly between 1960 and 1975, as access to medical contraception and abortion grew across the country. Other impactful periods include the Great Depression and Second World War, which respectively decreased, then increased birth rates, as well as the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic, when fertility briefly jumped before resuming its years-long decline. In 1972, Canada's fertility rate fell below the threshold of 2.1 children per woman, commonly referred to as replacement fertility, or the minimum rate required to maintain a stable population. So here we have this graph that's titled Canada's fertility rate by year, 1921 through 2024. And so you see these ups and downs. Here's the Great Depression right here. This is about 1929. We have the same Great Depression, and it seems like we're marching straight to another Great Depression. Yay, thanks MAGA. And so here we have, you see the increase is going up, 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 because here's the end of the Second World War right here, going up, up, up. And then we're at the top right here. We're at the top. It looks like the 1960s. This is when we start getting birth control. And then women have options of what to do with their bodies. And so then we have this this drop like a roller coaster, and it goes. So now we are here. We're going through the Great Recession. The Great Recession hit Canada. It hit the United States as well, the Great Recession. And you see it's still dropping. It went up a little bit, and then it's dropping right there. And now we're here. We're at the bottom. They are ultra low as far as their fertility rate, but this model right here, what we're seeing, how they're falling off a cliff. Ladies in the United States of America, you can see this. We can be this as well. It says, in an interview with CTV News last year, social demographer Kate Choi of Western University noted that an increasingly competitive economy has driven men and women alike to prioritize their education and delay parenthood until they have more stable living circumstances. Often, young individuals and couples may want to delay fertility until after they have a down payment for a home or they have a suitable and secure place to raise their children. While there is a normative change towards low fertility, it's also the case that there are a lot of economic barriers that are resulting in delayed and foregone fertility. Canada's average childbearing age among mothers has risen steadily for decades, reaching an all-time high of nearly 32 years in 2024, up 19% from 26.7 in 1976. Global fertility. Declining fertility is affecting a wide swath of the global population, with member countries of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, alone seeing their rates halved on average in the past 6 decades to 1.5 from 3.3 children per woman in 1960. A 2024 report from the organization warns that the decline will change the face of societies, communities, and families, as well as risk a significant impact on economic growth and prosperity. Still, we're putting a dollar sign on women's wombs, but they're still not talking about how they're going to pay women for the sacrifice of motherhood. As for the reason behind the decline, data from a United Nations survey released in June found financial limitations to be the most commonly reported reason to have fewer children than planned, followed by constraints on employment, housing, and childcare, alongside health and healthcare related obstacles. And to that I say, duh. Every country surveyed had significant proportions of people who reported having to revise their intended family size. The survey report reads, everywhere we look, people are struggling to freely realize their reproductive aspirations. Under the shadow of climate change, the after effects of a global pandemic, and increasing economic instability, the OECD report notes that the transition into parenthood has grown complicated for many. Tackling that uncertainty is key to reversing the decline, the organization notes, highlighting policy solutions like parental leave and affordable childcare to help parents maintain their careers while also growing their families. Facilitating parenthood decisions requires comprehensive and reliable support to families, said the OECD Department Director Stefano Scarpetta. This includes affordable housing, family policies that help reconcile work and family life, a coherence with other public policies that promote access to quality jobs and career progression for women. They also still need to bring in the social part of it, where we're saying that women are asking for dads to do more hands-on as far as participating with household work and child rearing. We're seeing that. We're seeing women say that more and more, but I still never see the articles speak on it. I've seen like one this year. Now let's talk about South Korea. We've been talking about South Korea. South Korea has the worst birth rate right now. It says, miracle under threat, South Korea's birth rate collapse could undo decades of growth. South Korea's fertility rate rose slightly to 0.74, so still way below 1 in 2024, but it remains the lowest among OECD countries. Look at this photo. It says, in a photo taken on May 26, 2016, a mobility scooter sits parked before rice fields in Gunwi, some 200 kilometers south of Seoul. By 2030, a quarter of all South Koreans will be over 65, and the overall population is expected to peak around 52 million the same year before entering a period of steady decline. This so-called silver tsunami poses a major challenge for Asia's fourth largest economy as the young working age population declines and the cost of caring for the elderly escalates. And in remote rural communities like Gunwi, which lies some 200 kilometers southeast of Seoul, the trend is exacerbated by a youth exodus to the cities for work. South Korea is staring down a demographic freight train. The country, known as one of the four Asian tigers for its meteoric economic rise from post-war poverty, is confronting a demographic cliff that could stall growth within 2 decades, studies warn. The Bank of Korea in 2024 projected that the nation's rock-bottom birth rate will be one of the factors that will push it into a prolonged downturn by the 2040s. In a separate study by the Korea Development Institute in May said demographic shifts will keep dragging on potential growth, which could fall to near zero by the 2040s. In its projections, South Korea's economy could contract by 2047 in a neutral scenario, or as early as 2041 in a pessimistic one. South Korea's birth rate currently stands at 0.748 in 2024, a slight rise from a record low of 0.72 in 2023. That compares with an Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development average of 1.43 in 2023. What a 0.72 fertility rate means for South Korea is that for every 100 Koreans, they would have about 36 children at current levels, shrinking the workforce across generations. That would cut into productivity and slow growth. I'm skipping some of this because I just want to get to this part. A shrinking workforce will also squeeze the pension system. In March, South Korea passed its first pension fund reform in 18 years, extending the depletion of the state pension fund by 15 years to 2071. But the thing about South Korea, they are anti-feminist. They cannot stand women. It's extra, extra patriarchal. They come for women. And until these things change in places like this that really cannot stand women, the birth rate will continue to plummet because these articles do not address that. Join the conversation, y'all. Like, comment, share. I know I kind of sped through that last part, but like, comment, share. If you're on my YouTube page, go ahead and hit the follow button. Let me know, are you on team Let the Birth Rate Plummet to Hell? Go ahead and join the conversation.